Bitch is a Bad Word podcast is for informational purposes only and reflects the opinions of the host and guests. It contains explicit content and discusses sensitive topics such as domestic abuse, sexual assault, and violence, which may be distressing to some listeners. Please take care of your emotional well-being while listening. While we strive for accuracy, we make no warranties about the completeness or reliability of the information, and any reliance on it is at your own risk. We do not endorse third-party views and are not liable for any defamatory claims. Listeners should conduct their own research and consult professionals before making decisions. If you or someone you know is in danger, please call 911 or contact the National Domestic Abuse Hotline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 800-799-7233 or text START, S-T-A-R-T, to 88788. We've got your back, besties. Caliber Studios has not independently verified the information you're about to hear. Hey besties, welcome back to this episode of Bitch Sesh. We have a new bestie with us, Jenn Higgins. She is the founder and creator of Anyway Socks. And we are so grateful for you coming and sharing your story. It's such a beautifully tragic story that hopefully we can share with the world because it's an important message. What you're doing is amazing.
Oh, it is. Thank you. Yeah, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about my my best friend and my experience in helping her get through her abusive relationship. And I'm going to try to be respectful of her. She does have 3 kids, wonderful kids that are still around. And I don't know how much of the story they actually know, so I'm going to tell it as best as I can from my point of view. And be as true to her memory as I can be, and not disparage her in any way or say anything that I don't think that her kids would already know. And that in itself is hard because there's so many other things that I want to say and get into, but we'll talk about it.
Okay. Well, best place to start is
you want me to just get into it?
Yes.
Well, so my best friend lived just on the street from me, and we had been friends for 2 or 3 years. She has 3 kids, like I said. She was one of the smartest, most empathetic, just hilarious people that I've ever known. She was a nurse practitioner, so she was very intelligent, very empathetic. She's one of those moms who, if you were speeding through the neighborhood, she would run after your car and be like, slow down, there are kids here, always looking out for other people, always watching out for her kids, just a great person. And she had been divorced, and so she was dating this guy. And this guy she'd been dating for a couple of years, and I'd never have met him. To this day, I've never met him.
But you were neighbors?
None of our neighbors had met him. We only knew his name, which turned out to not even be his real name. In our point of view, and and still in my point of view, she didn't want us to know him because of her. And if she wasn't ready to introduce her kids to him, she's not going to bring him around. I did think that was weird, but didn't really push her on it. Didn't really get into it. She seemed to be okay. Except every once in a while, she would come back with some bruises and some stuff, and you're like, of course you always think, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I just, ran into the door, you know how klutzy I am, blah, blah, blah. And so we had gotten a lot closer. And I always felt like there was something more that she wanted to tell me about this relationship, but I never really, I don't know. I never pried. I just thought, she's going to tell me about this guy when she's ready, and, but it was really bothering me. And I could tell she was really close to confiding in me something, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was about this relationship. I didn't know if it was about her job. I didn't know if it was about whatever it could have been. And so I I don't know, you had that feeling that just something's off and somebody's about to like tell you
Intuitively,
something,
yeah,
but
but
yeah, you're just like, what is going on here? Like something is happening. I started sleeping with my phone under my pillow
oh my
because
God.
that's how tuned in I was to like, something's going to happen. She's going to tell me something. Like, I don't know if it has to do with this guy. I just don't know.
And they don't live together,
That
right? They're not.
They don't live together. No,
Okay.
no, 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 no. She has her kids like, half the time. And she
Okay.
was, that's one reason mine, like, she's not, this is her life without her kids. And this, including the neighbors, is her life with her kids, and she's trying to keep them separate until she decides to bring them together.
Which is
Her
makes
life,
sense. Yeah, makes sense.
I'm not going to push her. She can do things in her own time. And so, the call did come one morning at 4:00 in the morning. And, she was hysterical and she sent me a photo of her face. And of course I ran down there and, I never had like any drama like that in my life. I've never been in an abusive relationship where somebody would hurt me in any way like that, and seeing it,
Yeah,
it was like walking into a murder scene. It was bad. It was bad. I got her cleaned up and, then I took her to the police station. I took her to the hospital, and then we stayed in a hotel that night. And, I found out a lot of things that day. Like the name that I thought his name wasn't his name. I didn't know.
was
And
she
so I didn't
protecting him?
realize. Yeah,
She was using a fake name on purpose.
He was using his brother's name.
Why?
So that we could never like try to look him up and figure out who she was dating.
Okay.
And there were some people in the neighborhood who would, do stuff like that. I wasn't one of them. I was just taking what she told me at face value, and,
did he have a past?
no, not anything that I know of that had been reported to the police. I mean, I found out later that he had done a lot of things, but nothing that you could have looked up online.
Okay.
But I think she was more than anything not wanting anybody in her, anybody who would have known anything about him to know that this was the guy that she had actually ended up dating, is what I think. So I learned a whole lot in a very short period of time. And so our neighborhood was really tight knit, and that broke us.
The neighborhood.
Number one, because a big rift, because there's several reasons. Like, I was going to have to go to court and testify for her for a custody hearing. Because her ex-husband had found out about, of course, what was going on and was, scared for his kids. And looking back, like, I mean, he had every right to be. But also that she had asked me not to say anything to anybody. And so I didn't, first, I didn't want to drag anybody into a court case. And all these people know that she has asked me not to say anything. And so if I start talking to them about what's going on with her, how can they ever trust me again with anything they might want to tell me, And so I didn't say anything to anybody, and there's so much gossip, and just kids. And so, she just was really trying to protect her kids from any gossip that went around. And I really didn't want to be a part of any of that. So now I can see how it made the situation so much harder for me, because he had isolated her from the rest of us. But then she was kind of isolating me from everybody else. If not to her, she wasn't trying to do that. I mean, she wasn't trying to do that. She just wanted to know that she had somebody on her side.
I can tell you from personal experience that what she did was, she's in survival mode. And
exactly.
She doesn't know, I've done it. You have lied to everybody, and that, abuse is happening. But abuse is dangerous, right? So she's worried she's going to lose her kids to her ex. Right. She's worried that her, it's nasty, like it is. It's a nasty thing. It's like the scarlet letter. And so she's trying to protect the neighborhood. She's doesn't want her, she's carrying.
She doesn't want her kids to know.
Yeah. No. And she probably carried so much shame that she allowed this to get this far, or
she just wants everybody to shut up and just let her figure out what to do now, and she wasn't getting that. And so she did tell me a lot of things that weren't true looking back. Do I blame her for that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She had been lied to for so long too. She doesn't even know what's up and what's down. And she's trying to protect me and protect her reputation and just trying to hold on to something that she can't rely on because she didn't have anything anymore. And I totally get that. My point of view is that when you are the support person for an abused person, it is the toughest role you're going to play because you can see this person you love being abused continually. This other person basically mind fucking them and to get into this Ferris wheel that you never get off of, and you can't leave them alone. You don't want to leave them alone. You're just trying to hang on. And something that I realized is that when she would tell me something, my reactions would have a dramatic effect on the way she reacted. And so as a support person, you have to keep your reactions to what the abused person is telling you in check, because without knowing it, you can make them feel judged, unsafe. You can make them feel crazy, even though you don't think they are. You think this other person is. They're taking all of that on themselves. And so I would have to really learn how to keep like my reactions to things in check to keep her calm.
That's a really good way of putting it, because it doesn't make sense to you. Like
No.
It seems like such an easy thing. You're looking at this woman. You've witnessed the abuse, physical abuse, and in your mind, in your right mind, you're like, well, what the fuck? Why are you here? It seems like an easy thing to just leave, and it doesn't make sense because she was trauma bonded. She was in love, perhaps. I mean, like sometimes it goes down to just the basics of like, I don't know any other way to explain it, but I love this person. It doesn't make sense. So then she feels crazy. And then he's probably, mind fucking her for sure. And then he's abusing her. And then he's put her back in the cycle where after he abuses her, he probably goes right back to the love bombing and, oh my God, I'm going to get help. I don't know what happened. Or maybe he's blaming her. Like she was the reason why he overreacted and lost his shit. I've never done this before. She's in a cycle. Like that hamster wheel is the cycle of abuse.
Right. And that's what's hard as an outside person, is that you're seeing them get right back on the wheel over and over and over and over again.
How long from the time that they were together for how long?
They were together for a couple of years before this event. Okay. And then I got her away from him. That was like the big event where I was like, we're getting restraining order. We're doing this, and I was doing what was best for her, even though she wasn't emotionally ready for that. And, but for me, I'm like, girl, I just saw what happened, and really it is one of those things that like, until they're ready, the connection's not going to stop. And so I think it was, and from that time until she passed away was about 3 years. And she was still in that, not that she ever truly went back, but like, I know that she saw him, and really we had got to the point where she was dating other people. She even got remarried, but you could still see he had just psychologically damaged her to the point where she was never going to be able to fully get over the situation. Like, I still think she would have gone right back to him. Mm-hmm. And that's really hard to know. And I always tell my mom, this is why I was crying. Well, you can tell I've been crying today, but I was talking to my mom before this because this is always a hard topic to talk about. I think that I'm over it, and it's been not over it, but able to talk about it without crying. And I called my mom and I was like, hey, the podcast is today. And she's like, oh, good luck. And we were talking about it, and she said, I miss her too. And I said, I know. And I said, but he killed her before she was even dead. And she's like, I know, because he changed the person that she was going to be from that moment on. And I will always blame him for her death and for everything that happened after, because if she hadn't met him, if this hadn't happened, she would be the most wonderful mom to her kids. She would still be here. She would still be my best friend.
That's a very tragic outcome. And you're right about the psychological abuse killing her. And we're learning now as well that, you know, if somebody beats you in the head, it changes your
Yes.
brain chemistry. You know, it is like, I was just speaking to a district attorney recently, and she was asking me to highlight some more brain trauma on the show. Strangulation in particular, and anytime that you've been concussed or hit in the head, that you should go and get your brain scanned. And that it changes your pathways. It could make you depressed. It could make you angry, whatever it is. You know, you're hearing all these things in the NFL with the TBIs, and if she was hit, it doesn't take much to concuss yourself.
It doesn't. And she had told me, and I don't know what it's called, the type of therapy that she was going through, but
EMDR.
they put she did do EMDR, but they actually did a brain scan to see like the connections between her right and her left hemisphere. And there's supposed to be so many connections, you know, going back and forth, and she hardly had any. And it was just like, she physically was not able to process all the trauma that she had been through, you know. And, you know, I'm not either. I wasn't even beat, and I'm having trouble processing all the trauma that happened, you know. In fact, when I went to a counselor for grief, she's like, you know, Jen, you have PTSD from what you saw. If I'm just trying to help her through it, you know. And so if you are in an abusive relationship, which I know you were, I mean, he not only abused you, he abused your kids. He abused your parents. He abused all your family and friends that were there to support you.
1,000,000%.
Because that changes your life in so many ways. You know, it's like, and you don't just abuse one person. And the fact that he is still here and she's not, you know, she had no reason to feel ashamed or embarrassed. He has a million reasons to feel that way. And he's still up here, probably doing it to some other girl. And it is just, you know, it's horrible. I just don't want anybody else to have to go through that. And I know that people are going through it all the time. So this is the second part. When I got off the phone with my mom, she's like, you need to go have something to eat and just go have a glass of wine and chill out. And so I walked across the street from my office to a restaurant, and I was like, I want a pizza and a glass of cab. And the girl's like, whoa, you know, what's wrong with you today? And I was like telling her about this, and she was telling me that it took her 20 years to get out of her abusive relationship. You know, and it's just like everybody you talk to, once you start talking, they have been in an abusive relationship or they've helped somebody through it. Because if it's not you, you know, it is somebody that you know.
Hey besties, it's Lindsay from Bitch is a Bad Word podcast, and Cozy Earth sent me the most amazing sheets ever. They are soft, they are silky, they keep me cool, and the color is so stunning. They've got your back with a 40% off coupon using our code word besties at checkout. They've got sheets, towels, pajamas, everything you need to turn your home into a sanctuary at CozyEarth.com. If they offer you a post-purchase survey, let them know that you heard about Cozy Earth right here on Bitch is a Bad Word podcast. Check them out, CozyEarth.com, 40% off using our code word besties. I have so much empathy for your friend because it's the trauma. That doesn't even really begin to explain it. Trauma is such a hard word to even unpack. And she is holding shame. She is feeling responsible, I would imagine, you know, and they're con men. They're very convincing. They're very much like, and maybe perhaps she was even feeling like once you are beaten, that's like she's been psychologically abused for way longer than that. And she was
way longer,
gaslit and made to feel crazy and probably reacted to things and probably lost her shit sometimes, and all the things that happen that you
all the things. Yeah.
Then feel responsible for, you know. I was hit and I was like, well, maybe if I hadn't been, you know, I was upset about something he had done to our, anyway, I was upset about a situation he had put our kids in, and I reacted like I was so upset, and I was like, I can't believe he would do this. And I was shouting, and I got hit really bad.
Yeah. And then it's your fault.
And then it was my fault.
You reacted that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then I think once she's there, she's like, well, you can't unring that bell. You can't go back. You're now in this like even deeper trauma bond, because I'm sure he looked at her like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that. And then he had shame. So perhaps she had to then take care of his emotions during that time because he felt bad for what he did to her. So then your self-esteem, your self-worth is nothing, because you're like, no one's even helping me. Like, or the person who hurt me, I'm now having to help them. So I imagine she was in such a horrible mind space that he's responsible for it. He put her there.
Right. And then she, might lose her children for what he did to her. Mm-hmm. And then, all the gossip and all the everything else was just, it was horrible.
Was she able, she was a nurse, right? So could she even go to work for a minute, or?
She did go to work, not that day or the day out. I mean, like, I talked to her boss and we figured out some stuff, but she did, make her way back. I did get her to a facility. It was a rehab. We live in Arkansas, and I got her to a rehab facility in California. And it wasn't even that like she needed rehab. It was that the abuse happened in her house, and I needed to get her away from her house. Mm-hmm. First of all, I wanted to get her into a place where he had no access to her. And I just wanted to give her a good place to heal, because I would go over there and I would spend the night with her. She was afraid he would come back. We'd have the police do patrols, and I didn't want her to be alone, and so it was just a really hard time, because you don't know what's going to happen.
No, and that's putting you in like your emotion. You feel at risk. You're an amazing friend, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
That takes a lot of courage, and because again, it's people like that are scary. It's and
they're so scary. Yeah, I was terrified, and I my kids were in their early teens at the beginning, and and I had to tell them, listen, she's having a really hard time. And if I'm taking time away from you to be down there with her, that that it's a scary situation, and so they always knew, because I didn't want my kids to think I was just hanging out with her,
right?
Over them. So they grew up kind of fast with that too. But
so you got her to a facility. So did she end up going? So she's in.
She did. Okay. She did. She had to go. So that was like at the beginning. And so it was a process for like 3 years. Like I said, she ended up getting remarried, and that brought a bunch of new stresses along with it. And he was a good guy. She had 3 kids. He also had 3 kids. So I think that was a lot of stress. But she just never really, he could have been the best dude in the world with no kids. And, they could have lived on a yacht, and she still would have had this inner turmoil that she needed to work through. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't him. It wasn't the marriage. It wasn't anything like that. It was, she was just struggling to comprehend her life and try to get through a bad situation and all the trauma that she had gone through, not just mental, physical, but like actual physical trauma that she was trying to still heal from. So it was 2020. It was a horrible year. My husband, he's my ex-husband now, but he had been diagnosed with leukemia. Mm. She's the one that actually got us into the doctor. Like, he was diagnosed on a Friday. She got us into the doctor first thing Monday morning. So he was pretty bad, and we had to go to the hospital like immediately. And when COVID hit. And so then, like we couldn't even be together. We have 2 kids, blah, blah, blah. She, had a really rough time. And, so I thought that things were maybe on the upswing. And then in July of that year, it got all of a sudden just tanked for her. And, I don't know like what the situation was that made it get so bad. I don't know. She didn't talk to me about her thought process, but she had come by the house one time and she was just, I could tell she was just in a really upset stage and she wanted to go for a drive. So I was like, okay. We went for a drive and then she wanted to go to this place. I did not want to be in the car with her anymore. It was just that level of something was happening. So I said, "Hey, mom hasn't seen you in a while, and my mom really wants to see you, and she told us to come by there before we go." And she was like, "Okay." So anyway, we went over there, and she just kind of started talking, and it wasn't coherent like what she was saying. It was like she was going through a lot of different thoughts in her mind, and they were all coming out at once. And my mom just kind of looked at me like, "What is going on?" And um, and the next week, I was getting ready to go to work, and I got a call from her ex-husband and her current husband, like within minutes of one another, and I knew something was wrong. And they're like, "We can't find Brooke. Have you seen her?" And I was like, "Something's not right." And so actually, I was ironing my dress, and I burned the shit out of my arm because I was like, something's wrong. So I got in my car, and then her ex-husband called and said, "We found her." And I called her that morning and left her a message, and she didn't ever call me back. And I wonder now if she didn't pick up the phone because she knew I could have talked her out of whatever she had going on in her mind.
I'm sure.
But she had a car wreck, car wreck, and
You can take as much time as you need.
yeah. Um, so I went to the scene, and she was gone.
I'm so
So her
sorry.
sister and I, we went and we cleaned out her car, and I picked out her outfit and I wrote her obituary. And my dad gave the eulogy. And she's not here, and he is still locking her up. And I just, the guilt when somebody does that and you were their support person is really horrible, you know. And I know that she thought that we were all better off without her. And it's just not true. As much as I was there for her, she was there for me too.
Mm-hmm.
She was my person when he was going through leukemia. I had to have a brain surgery. She's the one that took the stitches out of my head.
Oh my gosh.
She was always there to laugh with me and cry with me and bitch with me and send the most inappropriate text messages to one another. She was just a really good person.
She sounds like an amazing
And
woman.
she really was. And I'm not just, I would think anybody that knows her would have a Brooke story. I remember one time she wanted to have her dining room table look distressed, so she put it out in her backyard and shot it with like BB guns and like just went after it with hammers and stuff. Like she's just fun, She was fun. She was a really great cook and would make all awesome things. And it was really hard after she passed away.
Did she? I mean, had she told anybody that? I mean, I don't want to sound morbid, but did any no note or nothing or?
No.
Which is hard.
This wasn't the first time that she had tried to do this, but one of us had always been able to catch her in time, which is why I think she didn't answer my call. That's what I want to think. I want to think I would have been able to talk her out of it.
Oh, you would have. Yeah. That's hard.
And I live with a lot of guilt. But I also know that she's very stubborn, and when she had that in her mind, that's what she wanted to do, and that's what she needed to do, that's what was going to happen. And so, I have to let her go. I'll never let her go completely, but I have to let go of the sadness and everything around it. And that's one thing, that's why I'm here. It's because I am trying to work through my grief. And so that's where the whole sock thing comes back. Told you we get you around to buying something for me eventually. So, excuse me for blowing my nose. So after she died, I had so much time on my hands, I didn't realize how much mental energy I spent on making sure she was okay and on checking in with her and on, making sure that she was good mentally.
That's a big deal. That's a really great friend. And that's going back to, I'm sure I can tell you, like, I feel so much guilt for my family and my kids that I feel like I put them through hell by staying for so long. My family, my dad in particular I can't imagine. He lives in another country, so he's far. But he phones every single day, multiple times a day. And if I don't answer, he immediately thinks something bad's happening.
Panic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
hits. Abuse doesn't just affect the person being abused. Like you said, it affects everybody. And it's, she must have really trusted you because I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to burden anybody, and it felt so dangerous. And so to be able to come out, for her to come out and be able to talk to you're a great bestie to her. That's, you're a safe place. And
that's what I wanted to be, was a safe place for her. And, I lost a lot of friends because I was her safe place. And I don't care.
No.
I don't miss them at all. I do miss her. I do miss her. And everybody deserves to have somebody in their life that they can tell everything to. And it was an honor to be able to do that for her for as long as I was. And I do think about her every day. And anyway, after all that happened, it's still kind of My husband still has leukemia. We're still going through all that. And it was really hard to get out of bed in the morning. And my nose is just, I'm just blowing snot everywhere. Sorry. It's like so attractive. This is real, people. I wish I didn't do this, but like,
I didn't bring it. I'm using my sleeve.
Or a whole roll of toilet paper.
Or I'm going to have to start using your socks.
That's another good use for it, by the way.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wayne Callies, and I played Dr. Sarah Tancredi on Prison Break.
And I'm Paul Edelstein, and I played Agent Paul Kellerman on Prison Break. Please join us on our rewatch podcast, Prison Breaking, with Sarah and Paul.
We're going to have all kinds of guests and never-before-told stories, so follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can subscribe to our watch party on the link there. We can't wait to see you there.
And follow us on Instagram at Prison Break Podcast. See you there.
It was just really hard to get out of bed. I didn't care what I looked like. I didn't care what I was wearing. I didn't care about anything. But I would come down to the office to kind of get away from the house. And I say office, it was just me and one other person. So even though it was COVID, it wasn't a big deal. And so most of the time I'd come in and my socks wouldn't match. And so he started calling me bisexual because sometimes it would match and sometimes it wouldn't. And I thought that was so great. So I went and I bought all the domains for bisexual, and I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do with this, but we're going to do something. And so we kind of started talking about it, and I wanted to do something in her honor. Like, I didn't just want to just move on. Like, I wanted to do something to commemorate her and do something for her in her honor. And so we came up with the idea that even if all you have are the mismatched socks on the floor, just grab them and leave anyway. Just leave any way you can. You know, it doesn't matter. You may leave with nothing, but if you can't grab something and that's it, just grab them and go. And so that's the message of our brand is we changed it from bisexual to anyway. And the reason is because I couldn't always be there to tell the story. Mm-hmm. I wanted something that really got the message through of what we were doing. And I thought anyway was a much better name for that, because we want you to wear these any way you want, and we want you to leave any way you can. And so they're just set up as match socks, but that's the message. And we give back to domestic abuse centers. So I sell online, and up here we give back to the NWA Women's Shelter, and there's another organization that I'm trying to give back to if we can sell enough. It's called Peace at Home. But then Dillard's also picked us up. So I'm in 9 Dillard stores for the women's and 4 for the men's.
That's amazing.
They go to their local domestic abuse organization, because if you buy it in Memphis, your money needs to go to a Memphis abuse center or Pensacola or wherever it is you live, because I really want to help out nationwide.
That's beautiful.
It's not just in my own city. It's it's everywhere. I think she would be proud.
Oh, for sure she would be proud. This is awesome. I mean, I'm wearing them. I've got this one on this foot. And then this one is cute.
See? So they they'll kind of match, like they're either like the same, like flowers or whatever.
My napkin.
So the reason we do 3, people ask us, why did you do 3? Well, she had 3 kids, so I want to honor all 3 of them. Oh. And then if I give you a pair, you only have one way to wear them. But if I give you 3, you have 3 different ways to wear them.
They're super cute.
That's why we do 3.
And
Thank you.
They're very comfortable. You've got sporty ones.
We do. We have all
kinds.
kinds.
This because I'm going to tell you, I do a lot of laundry. I've got a bunch of kids. I have 4 kids. I do a lot of laundry, and then I find myself doing laundry anyway. I freaking hate the sock folding. I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
Because when I do, my kids take them all off. I've got one kid who likes short socks, one kid who likes long socks, but then they all just throw them everywhere. And then I like have to put them in right way out, to wash them so that the bottom of them actually, when they do wear socks, which this is like I was telling you before this show, like they're never wearing shoes, they're never wearing socks, but they play sports, so they have to wear them. So then they take their shoes off and they run around the driveway in their socks.
They're disgusting.
And I'm like, these are disgusting. And so anyway, I just throw them in like a pile, but then I have this like OCD, like eventually I'm going to find the mate somewhere. So there's like a giant bag of mismatched socks. And then like the greatest feeling is just like, Lindsay, throw it fucking away. Like they're never coming back. They're gone.
It doesn't matter. Like most of the time they're covered up anyway.
This is perfect. These are so
to me,
adorable.
like there is actually a Harvard study that says if you wear mismatched socks, people think that you're more fun and more intelligent.
Oh,
Harvard study. I'm not going to argue with it, but that's what they said. And
I love it. I think the message is amazing.
It's a fun way to celebrate something that's so intense.
Yeah.
Well,
you did an amazing job honoring your friend. I have to say, these are beautiful. The message is beautiful.
Thank you.
You're beautiful. You're seriously, and that's an inspiration. I know what you're going through in some ways. I understand. Like I've when you help someone, I'm in this podcast space. I have a nonprofit, and people phone and the things that they share. I'm like, oh my God, like it's a lot. It's a lot to take on someone else's pain because you want to solve their problems. You want to fix it. You want to help them, and it's a lot to carry. So I feel that weight that you feel as on one side, and then I feel how Brooke felt as the shame, and I'm no longer physically in a dangerous situation, but the mental abuse is real. I mean, everybody around me is like, I'm still being post-separation abuse is real. I'm still co-parenting with someone who is hell-bent on just making life so difficult. So, I really have to take great care of my mind and great care. I think I probably should do more to make sure that I'm staying focused and like, I don't get sucked back into that vortex that, was sucking her, like she was getting sucked back in, and it does.
It's so hard. And every time you tell your story, think how many people they're going through the same thing that aren't able to verbalize it, or they think I'm the only one, or they are so embarrassed and so ashamed. It's like, why are you embarrassed and ashamed? This person that is treating you like this should not be able to show their face in public for treating another human being the way they are treating you. It has nothing to do with you, and you're not causing it, and you're not doing anything to deserve it. They're just a horrible human being. I think the wrong people feel the wrong things sometimes, and that's hard because you can't fix that.
No, but you can do what you're doing, and you can help. Healing through helping, I think, is so important. Every single time you sell these, you have no idea who you're helping. You have no idea all the Brooks in the world, that are getting support because of this company, and that's brilliant.
I hope that one day nobody needs to wear socks to support this because all the abusers are gone. That's what I want. I don't want anybody to have to go through this. I don't want you to have to continue to go through this. I just want the cycle to stop, and I don't know how we get there. Just one little donation at a time, I guess. One little podcast at a time,
Right.
I know I'm about to drown in snot, so I apologize for all my snot, all my nose blowing.
No,
it's hard not to tell that story and not get emotional.
Well, she lives on, and through your work and through sharing her story, you are helping so many other. You are a bestie to a lot of people right now that need to hear this and that need to feel. And I'm going to tell you, we've only been on the air for a few, 2 months, and the messages that we're getting in our DMs are so heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching. There's like
I know.
like I was reading some last night and then I had to take a break because I was like, oh my God, I can't do it right now.
I know.
But there's that many people. So what I have to remember is, what you're doing and what we're doing is going to help break the cycle. It's going, people are going to leave before it gets too bad. And
Right.
like you said, leave any way you can.
Yeah. And that's been the hardest part, and it's the most dangerous part. And I don't take that lightly at all. When we say leave any way you can, it's when you get to that point when you can leave, even if it takes you 30, 40, 50 times to leave before it sticks, it's okay. You'll get there. You will get there. And just recognize that the people around you, they may tell you things you don't want to hear, but it's just because they love you so much.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. They do. There's a lot of love for, and I love that you're saying the messages that we're saying. It's like the shame is so real, and it doesn't track. It doesn't make sense that the person that's being treated so horribly is the one that carries the shame. Because
Right.
I don't know. On the other side, I've seen it personally. I see it through other people. These people don't seem like they have any remorse or they give two shits.
I know, it's crazy. How can you go living your life like that? If I look at somebody wrong and like they give me a look, I feel bad just for doing that. I can't imagine intentionally manipulating somebody or abusing somebody verbally or emotionally, or I really can't see like hurting somebody physically.
God.
I just don't get it. How depraved do you have to be to get your kicks out of doing that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Hurt people, broken people. It's like, but
They do.
this cycle has to stop. The generational cycle. It's like getting the message out there, people getting their kids out there, people, removing. That's what I wish I could share more with women to say, you're not doing anyone any favors by staying. You're hurting
Right.
everybody. Everybody knows. The kids know. Those boys knew what happened, or they knew some. It's like all the kids know. Everybody we talk to, everybody around goes, we always knew. We didn't know necessarily what,
Right.
but just like you were saying, you're sleeping with your fucking
You get a
phone under your
feeling.
pillow because you know,
Yeah.
like that's,
Yeah.
everybody knows. So it's like the best thing is leaving and then stopping the cycle. So then the children don't grow up thinking this is a normal way to live. This is how people should treat each
Exactly.
other. And stopping that cycle is so important because it's a matter of life and death in a lot of ways, mentally, physically. And like you said, it affects everybody around you. It affects neighborhoods.
does.
It affected your entire neighborhood.
Yeah, it affected a lot of people. He hurt a lot of people, not just her. They had been apart for a long time, and the abuse she suffered was still, it's not like you just leave and then all of a sudden life gets better. You still have all the trauma to deal with after that. And like I said, I really do think that there was some sort of connection that she had with him. And then I think that's like the final thing. She was like, I'm never going to be able to get over this forever. And she just wanted to end her pain, and I can't take that away from her. I don't blame her for feeling that way. And it was the most difficult thing in her life.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. And she probably felt responsible in so many ways. And then it's really fucked up because I experienced it. And they get in your head and then you're like, but maybe if I just did something different, maybe if I wasn't this, maybe if I was, and then when they're nice, they're so nice. And when they're, when I'm sure he was contacting her, or maybe she saw him move on to somebody else. And then you're assuming, oh God, now like she gets all the good part. There's no good happening. We know that, but in your mind, you tell yourself like, oh, they're getting the good version of the person now. And they're getting all the work that I've put in to fix this person. Now somebody else gets to I'm
Right.
sure she felt that way because it's so mental. It's a mental warfare.
It's when they use your own love as a weapon,
Mm-hmm.
you can't come back for that. That's really, it's a fatal wound when somebody's going to use your own love for them against you, you know. Anyway, buy socks.
Anyway, okay.
Anyway, we will all get through this in any way we can. And
we've got these cute socks. I know you can't.
they really are cute.
They're
You can't
so
really
cute.
see it, I know.
And okay, so where can we find you in your
So
socks?
I'm on anywaysocks.com and then at select dealers, and you'll be able to find that on our site too. And we do free shipping. So buy lots, and we'll ship out as much as we can and give back as much as we can. And I'm hoping to have more retailers too. So if you own a little boutique and would like to carry the socks, please reach out too, because I'd love to help in your area.
Yes, please reach out to her. These socks are so flippin' cute. Everyone will love wearing them. And you'll save yourself a lot of headache trying to match your socks in the
They're
laundry.
fun. We have a little bookstore up in the Catskills that sells a ton of them, and she is just the nicest person. So we get to help up in that area too. It's just fun. It's fun. You get to meet a lot of people, their stories too. So,
well, I'm going to be on a mission to get you in places. I have a couple things in mind already of people I know that have shops. So
yay!
I'll
I
make
would
some
love to do that.
introductions because this is it's a beautiful message built from tragedy, and you're just doing amazing work, and the legacy that you're carrying for Brooke is beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you for thank you for being there for her also. I mean, thank you for all that you did for her. I'm sure you don't even know how much you did for her as well.
Well, she did so much for me. Like, she has given my life meaning. And I will always be indebted to her for that. She taught me a lot. And I hope that she knows how much she means to so many people down here.
Well, she's a bestie for our listeners.
She is.
And she's going to help. Her story will help so many women. I believe that. So thank you for having the courage and the bravery to come on and share your story and her story through your story, because the more people we can reach and the more we normalize these conversations, these bitch sessions, like this is happening. Yeah. It's happening in your neighborhood. So get involved.
Exactly.
Be a nosy neighbor. Help a friend.
You never know. Somebody's going through it in your neighborhood, in your family, in your bunko group. Something's going on.
In your mahjong group.
Yeah. I love mahjong. Yeah. Well, good. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Jenn, it's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. And you're just an awesome, awesome woman. And I want to help out as much as we can as well. And so, again, so we can find Anyway Socks here and your Instagram is at Anyway Socks. And the message is, even if you have, sorry, I can't, my tears. Even if all you have are the mismatched socks on the floor, we encourage you to leave anyway. We do. Get safe, besties. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Bitch Sesh. And we look forward to seeing everybody's mismatched socks. Tag us on Instagram and let's make a movement. Bitches being bad.